Hello, good day. I'm going to be talking about my favorite book of 2023. And of course, that means that it's this one. This is The Will of the Many by James Islington. This book came out 1 week ago, and you may know James Islington as the writer and author of the Licanius trilogy. I picked up The Will of the Many, like I said, about a week ago, and after finishing it yesterday, it is my favorite book that I've ever read, and that is not an exaggeration in any way. I had an absolute blast reading this book. This book is about a young man named Vis. Vis is an orphan, and through circumstances that you'll find out pretty early on, this is a magical school book, or better words, it's a magical academy book. Now, this isn't the same magical academy as you would say like Hogwarts. There's no wands, no spells. I mean, I guess there's spells in the magic system, but it's not in the same way. Now, in the title, there's a word called will, and will is the magic system that is seen throughout this entire book. There's a hierarchy, and the hierarchy is practically the government. And the main trope of the story is that Vis, the orphan who, under circumstances, is going to the top school in the entire continent, has to find a way to take down the government. So, talking about what this book is, it's a hardcore Roman fantasy. It is truly fantasy. Many of the times, if you haven't read a lot of fantasy, you're going to be noticing that you have to go to the back of the book in the glossary to figure out what words mean, and the main gripe is having to find out how to pronounce the names. But if you've read any sort of semblance of fantasy, you'd know that this is something that comes with reading fantasy in every way, shape, and form. Other than the main generalization of it being a fantasy, it's a murder mystery. I'd say it's not a murder mystery in the same way you'd find as like a fiction murder mystery, but it's a common theme throughout the entire book. Another main trope that you find in the book is romance. There's a romance trope in it. It's not as prominent as the other, main focuses, but the romance is there, and it's good to have there. It gives some spice and some actual feeling to the characters in a way that it will make them feel more real to you when reading. Now, this book is a long book. It is about 620 pages, give or take a few. The book is about 415,000 words, I think, last time I checked. I know it's over 400,000, but I'm not sure about the specifics, which means it's a pretty hefty fantasy novel. Now, this isn't a fantasy novel in the heftiness of saying Brandon Sanderson's Way of Kings. You're not getting over 1,000 pages of just pure high fantasy. And it's only written in one perspective, which means that you're not getting the multiple perspectives of a normal high fantasy. But for it being so long, it moves very quickly. The best thing about this book is that it's 70 so chapters, and I cannot stress this enough. At the end of every chapter, you feel like you've accomplished something, and it gives meaning to the book, because I, as a reader, like to read and then stop at a point where I feel something pivotal is happening or something pivotal is about to happen, but I don't want it to be mid-action. And at the end of every single chapter, I feel like we've resolved something or something just came up, and so you know that the next chapter is going to pivot off that. You have new information, and it was the best feeling at the end of the chapter because something had happened, so you could either stop reading and you could think about it all day, or even worse, you couldn't stop reading because you'd be thinking about it all day. I was having a hard time putting the book down while reading this book, which is a good problem to have. But in the back of my mind, especially yesterday and the days coming when I was getting closer and closer to the end of the book, I almost stopped early because I didn't want the book to end. It was that good of a book. It's truly the mark of a great book when you don't want the book to end. You don't want it to conclude. You want more and more and more. The best thing about the series is that it's number one in the series, and also it's the worst thing. Since it came out a week ago, I will have to be waiting for an entire year ruminating on these questions that were posed at the end of the book. There are unanswered questions that I can't seem to figure out the answers to at the end of the book. It's still a year or maybe two that I'm going to have to be sitting here waiting for the second book, The Strength of the Few, pondering these questions. And after finishing it, I can definitely say that it's something that you have to take into account when starting the book, that you're not going to want it to end, which is a great thing to happen. Back to the story of how Vis, the main character, interacted with everyone. I feel like they did such a great job of the interactions between characters, because I truly felt like these characters were having relations with each other. It's how true friend dynamics go. The best part was seeing how Vis interacted with the different characters. As a loner and an orphan, Vis never really had friends growing up, you can see in the book. And so him building these relationships with people that he hasn't done in many years is a fun thing to experience, I say. Now, thinking about my gripes with the book, and let me say, there's not a lot. I think that the transportation should have been outlined a little more. Only with looking at the map in the front of the book, which I did at the start but never really went back to until the end. It's something that you need to do, because when they talk about their mode of transportation, these will-powered machines, these what they call transvex, you have to look at the map and really see that they're traveling thousands of miles. And without the use of miles or kilometers in the book, it's hard to understand how fast they're traveling and how far they're traveling using these will-powered machines. Now, I'm going to stand up and walk again. I feel when it comes down to this is one of the most flawless books that I've ever read. Everything about it was great, and truly, he spent years and years and years working on this book. Because of COVID, it gave him tons of time to iron out everything in this book, and it truly comes into fruition here when we're reading the novel. Now, along from the actual parts of the book, I'm going to show you what the book looks like in the physical copy that I got from Barnes & Noble. Alright, so like I said before, this is the copy that I got from Barnes & Noble. The front looks great. It has like the Roman architecture. It's kind of minimalist, but not too much going on. I think it's a great cover overall. The side is okay. It's pretty good. I like the column on it. It's great in the sense that it's what you'd need in a book. And the back is the normal back where it has all the quotes on it. But where this book truly shines is in taking off the dust cover. Now, I know it doesn't really have any features on it, but if you can kind of see, there's like speckles in the white, which makes it look great. It's like ancient Roman. I really like it. And the best part about it has got to be the side. The side of the book just looks absolutely gorgeous. It says The Will and the Many. It's kind of imprinted on there, and I have no gripes or anything with it. Now, if you're going to buy this book, I'd say buy the physical copy. The hardcover is great. It's in great condition, or at least the one that I got. There's a few minor scuffs on it, but who really cares? If you don't have the means to buy the book, or it's out of your local bookstore, which it was when I went back yesterday, they were totally sold out of all of them, I'd say get it on Kindle. It's a better option. Please don't torrent it. We shouldn't take money from the authors, and he clearly spent so much time and effort. It's an amazing book. I implore you to buy it. I implore you to read it. It's truly, and I know it's late May when I'm saying this, not even halfway through the year, but it's going to be the best book, or up there with one of the best books of the year. And I think it's going to be the best book of the year. I mean, it's my favorite overall that I've ever read, and that's saying something. Now, that was everything for the review. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the aesthetic that is this background and the birds chirping. I hope you have a good day. Cheers. Thanks for watching.